Had je twijfels? Nee, je hebt het gefixt, man. Ja, zeker. Heel netjes, heel netjes. Zo. Nou, Peter, de bruidschap, hè. Je vraagt erom en dan krijg je ervan. Het zijn wel mooie schapen, zeg. Kijk, super, geregeld. Helemaal mooi. Ze hebben wel al een beetje zitten plassen op de oprit. Sorry, Peter. Ja, maar ja, jij wil schapen. Dus in principe is het niet mijn schuld. Ja, die plassen nou helemaal. Zo. Peter moet natuurlijk wel denken dat er een echte kameel binnen is. Die schrikt zich helemaal kapot.
Hoezo denken dat er een echte kameel zit?
Ik vind inderdaad dat je op een kameel lijkt, maar ik denk ergens dat Peter, als hij jullie helemaal ziet, niet denkt dat het een echte kameel is. Ja.
Hey Luca.
Zit nu dus even te praten.
Kom maar joinen. Anders krijg ik klappen.
Hoor me dan.
Ik heb jou niks verstaan. Ik heb niks verstaan van wat hij zei.
Kijkers, YouTube, Aqua Crack, abonneer anders ben je stout.
Ik vermoed iets. Belofte maakt schulden, Peter. Ik heb nog vechten getekend. Ja. Dus ik heb wat voor de hand van uw dochter. Hallo.
RXT Luca.
Nou, maar het is
Hey, wacht.
Het is Ivy Lux.
Staat hier
Ivy Lux?
iets heel moois voor je klaar.
Dodo, het staat public join.
Nee, ik speel solo.
Speciaal voor jou.
De pikken je bord. Ik ga los zeggen.
Dat je erop begint. We hebben binnen nog een verrassing staan. Met wat voor Marit, hè?
Hier, nog een camera. Heel lief deze hoor. Maar ook wel.
Ik hoop dat je er blij mee bent met deze geweld.
Kan ik er ook op rijden?
Ja, absoluut. Je moet er alles mee doen wat je wil. Hierheen. Dit is wel iets standaard. Ik kan hem aaien, kijk maar. Rick, heb jij gepoept? Ik bedoel kameel. Nee. Ja, Peter,
Neem jij maar dit, hou ik dit?
ja, top, dat is de deal dus.
Ik moet wel straks thuis aan wat aftreden eigenlijk.
Maar sorry, dat is de deal. Je hebt Peter afgesproken.
Ik kan het contract hebben.
Ja, precies, Rick. Lees het contract maar. Nou, Peter, succes met de bruidschap.
Dankjewel. Dat gaat helemaal lukken.
Top, knap. Nu is het tijd voor het echte werk.
Jongens, tot ziens hè. Doei. Jongens.
Dylan?
Jongens.
Vandaag zover. De naastensmaat zich nu aan het klaarmaken, maar wat ze niet weet, is dat ik hier een einde heb. Wat gaat gebeuren vandaag? Deze man. Spannend!
Je kijkt letterlijk naar het filmpje waar ik me naar kijk.
Op dit moment. En ik kan nu natuurlijk niet echt volgen of tegen de camera praten, want ik maak het iets door. Ik ben ondertussen aan het regisseren, maar door de zenuwen gaat dat niet meer zo lekker. Tja, mijn hersenen werken echt even niet meer zo goed. Eerst een keer praten met elkaar, behalve Tim en nu is het moment daar. Mijn hart maakt overuren en iedereen behalve Marit weet wat er gaat gebeuren. Dan mag ik nu de bruid kussen. Ik doe de schoen. Jij gaat met de camera erop. En dan mag jij blijven. En dan mag je hem... Hier is het moment.
mijn toetsenbord was gekoppeld, dus dat is een probleem, jongens.
Wie kijkt er nog naar je stream?
Wat?
Niemand volgens mij kijkt gewoon naar je stream.
Nee, maar wordt opnieuw bekeken.
Ik denk iedereen gaat die tijd opnieuw kijken.
Ja, er zijn mensen die opnieuw kijken.
Oké. Is je YouTube gewoon IV laagstip lux? Of IV
Nee,
start?
laagstreepje, luxe laagstreepje.
Ja, eigenlijk, ik ga niet eens kijken, maar nog steeds.
Gelukkig zijn ze na al die nee's uiteindelijk toch ja. Het is officieel. We zijn verloren. Zo.
Waar ben je geland? Want ze zit toch in een potje?
Ben jij dat die kijkt?
Nee.
Oké. Ik kijk er welkom bij de stream.
Nou, dames en heren, tijd voor party at the Apple. En van het feestje daarna hebben we maar geen beelden gemaakt. Of ja.
Ik ga echt gewoon blokkeren, ik zweer het zo.
Wajo! Je bent echt op een golf. Zo krijg je nooit abonnees, hè? Als
Maar
iemand gaat
gast, ik
blokkeren
speel
als
op
ze
PC.
hard ja. Hé, echt? Wajo, doet mijn camera veel.
Geïntroduceerd de kraan die alles kan.
Wat ben je geneukt?
Ja, inderdaad, ik ben het goed.
Hey, what up, Jack?
Ah, nee.
Jeremy. Leuk dat je kijkt. Gloednieuwe.
Ja, doe maar uit.
Zat.
Dat is heel voor je open. Het is fucking zondag. Ga geen Satsat kijken. Het is koude inzien.
Moet ik dan een Sun kijken?
Ja.
Een Sun.
Mensen die kijken op mijn kanaal zijn niet eens abonnee.
Dus abonneer hier beneden. En
Het is toch wel een Sun video.
Hi, I'm Alex. Every single one of my friends has told me that I should share the story that happened to me, like, with the world. I've been thinking about it for a while, and here I am. Let's do this. My parents are very rich people, and I'm not telling this to you like I'm bragging. It's not a rich kid thing at all. It's more than that. I am not a rich kid at all. Yeah, you heard that right. With my parents being crazy rich, I'm actually pretty poor. I live in a small guest house with minimal furniture besides my parents' mansion. I get a ridiculously small amount of allowance money, and I don't feel rich at all. Okay, I guess I've got some stuff to explain here. My parents are self-made people. That's what they like to say, and it's basically true. They both started from the bottom. Their families were always struggling. And they met when they were very young, way before they earned their fortune. They started a business, which over several years grew to be two different companies, both pretty big. They basically had two weddings. The first one, when they were young,
Oké, stop.
and the second one, at an ultra-luxurious resort in the Bahamas years later. I mean, I've only seen
Hoe heb je nu
I was
gestuurd?
10 and I was not invited.
Ik zweer, ja man.
The important part. I was never
Dark
part
shit.
of the family,
Ja, oké.
financially.
Ja, ik heb inderdaad een
Sure that
hond.
if I got exposed to money growing up,
En hij poept.
spoiled, lazy, selfish,
Wie
arrogant.
jij?
Like
Ja, je
that,
poept
you
jezelf,
didn't
jongen. Je
mention
hebt gewoon 2 dislikes.
Apparently,
Zo
each of
stil
them had a
zijn.
guy during their school years who was a total moron, and who happened to come from a rich family. I don't know the details because they were never really willing to talk about it. But the idea that money spoils
Wat is
children
dan?
has
Ik
stayed with them for
zweer,
years.
ik pak jou.
So, okay, now that you know the background, let's get into the story. It started at one of my parents' famous parties. Every week, there's either a party or a reception, or whatever you call it, at their house. They love stuff like that.
But
And
your
they like saying
actual
that they
dog
earn
shit.
these nights with their hard work. Needless to say, I'm almost never invited to these occasions since, first, I have to go to sleep early to be disciplined, and, of course, because of the money thing. Sometimes I would just crash those parties and chat with people until my dad noticed, or sabotage them by turning off all the lights or something. I had nothing to lose, really. That day was one of those days. My parents are friends with a couple who have a daughter. Her name is Cecilia. She's 16, and I've seen her around a couple of times. I even talked to her once at my friend's birthday. She's really cute and funny. And she always comes over with her parents.
Jij bent echt raar. Waarom ga je film
Kids my age and
kijken
even younger come to
terwijl
my
je aan het
parents'
streamen bent? Dat is
parties
gewoon
all the
dom.
time. And I have
Moet
to
je
leave the
dat
guest
dom?
house and go to sleep at 10.
Gewoon, dan geef je geen aandacht of zo aan je kijkers. Terwijl ze met respect voor jou aan het kijken zijn naar wat jij doet. Terwijl jij gewoon lekker filmpjes zit te kijken.
En
Of ja, kijk, daarom heb je ook 0 kijkers. Dat is het probleem. Kijk, ik heb een vriendsaccount. En die kan customs doen.
wacht,
ik doe heel
ik had
soms
de hele
customs.
tijd jouw hele uitleg niet gehoord omdat mijn controller gedisconnect was.
Ah, dat is leuk. Sorry, ik kan hem niet opnieuw vertellen.
Oké, is goed.
Even naar iemand anders gaan vragen. Nee, oké. Maar ik heb een vriend die heeft sport creëren en zo, net als ik. En dus ik ga, omdat ik geen customs meer kan door mijn werk, ga ik dus elke keer op zijn account om customs met mensen te doen.
Wat heb ik daaraan?
Dus daarom, je moet mensen geven wat ze willen. Dus je moet gaan doen wat de community doet. Je moet ze nadoen, je moet ze nadoen. That's the shit, bro. Cause
Maar
you're dog shit, bro.
luister. Een domme
Ik
kut.
luister.
Als je geen kijkers hebt, kan je ze niet entertainen.
Nee. En daarom zeg ik ook, ga met de community mee, want dan kan je kijkers trekken. En dan kan je... Ja, dat gaat het weer. Because...
Hoe trek jij kijkers?
Wacht.
Oh fuck. Ja, wat kon ik doen, man? Ik heb zijn shield eraf geschoten met mijn vuist, maar ik had alleen maar een pistool en een sniper.
Pistool.
Oh ja, dus zeg je eens hoe trek je kijkers? Ja, dan kan je niet antwoorden, hè. Dude.
What will a big monster like this do?
Ik ga eens goed.
Doei.
Yo. Bouw jezelf. En YouTube account krijg, dankjewel.
That's pretty good pumping from those tiny little collar cells.
Oké jongens,
So this time, I snuck it again. Cecilia was there, and everything was going fine. Until Dad showed up. He saw me, he went even crazier than usual. He shouted at me saying I wasn't supposed to be there, that I was supposed to be in bed already. It was so embarrassing that it actually felt like I was a 2-year-old or something. Everyone heard it, and Cecilia did too, of course. I couldn't even say anything. I just walked out of the room in total silence. That night, something broke inside of me. Like, I probably should have. I could not go on with this. Something had to be done. Pretty soon, I realized that what I needed most of all was money. It would have solved a lot of problems. I could do whatever I wanted. Well, not literally whatever I wanted. You get the point. After looking for a part-time job for a while and not finding anything good, I decided I needed to start some kind of business, like my parents did years ago. And what happened next was pretty devastating. I'll try to make this short. My parents have a friend, let's call him Mr. J, and he's a businessman too. He's a company that
ja, one shot nemen hoor.
runs a small record shop, like as a side project. He told me that in the 70s he was in a rock band and thought that music was his life. But then the times changed and their band didn't take off. So he had to leave the idea of a music career behind. And the record shop was his connection to that world he had to leave. So I had this idea. I knew that some of my friends were also trying to collect vinyl records, get record players, and all that. So I thought that I could negotiate with Mr. J to get some of his records on credit and sell them to people I knew. He happily agreed. I asked him not to tell my parents, and he understood, since all of my parents' friends knew about their parenting methods. Now I see that I had literally zero reasons to start selling vinyl records, but I guess I just got lucky. First, my friends and classmates bought a couple of them. That got me a little more money than I get from my parents, because I had to give most of my revenue to Mr. J for the records. But then pretty slowly I started to get new clients. Not just friends or guys from my school, but also friends of friends, their moms and dads, weird uncles and hippie grandpas. I don't want to overstate my success, but at some point it seemed that there was even some kind of trend for vinyl records at my school, specifically because I was selling them. Anyway, at some point I realized that I had started to earn enough money to move out and rent an apartment for a couple of months. But from the day I started the whole thing, I knew what I wanted to do when I got my first decent profits. I wanted to throw a party right inside my guest house, 200 feet from my parents' house. And the party would be so big, pompous, and loud that it would definitely get their attention. And then, well, you'll see what was supposed to happen. It took me a while to organize everything, but now I had money. So making it work was just about the technical details. The party was not only for teenagers, but for adults too. And everyone was supposed to keep it a secret. It was supposed to be flawless. I mean, even though I was not invited to most of my parents' parties, I had surely learned something about organizing them over the years. I think I invited about 50 people, and almost all of them were able to make it. People were inside the guest house, outside the guest house, and the party was going great. It was mind-blowing that so many different people were here, at my place. From my parents' best friends, Cecilia was there too, of course, to my childhood friend Tom, who was asking to put on his favorite black metal band for the whole night. I have a separate entrance, so my parents did not even notice the party until after it had already started. And that, of course, was part of my plan. 15 minutes after I put on some loud music, they came to see what was going on. They seemed surprised, but they were not angry. As people who knew something about throwing parties, they were impressed by what I had set up. They wanted to get in and see what was going on inside. But that was where the final part of my plan came in. I met them right at the gates of the party zone and told them that it was a closed event and that they could not get in. I was ready for them to start a fight, but they just smiled and walked away, back to their own house. I did not expect that at all, and it kind of bugged me for the moment. But the party was still amazing nonetheless, and I got excellent feedback. Cecilia seemed to like it more than anybody. When I went to my parents' house for breakfast the next morning, which does not happen on the weekends, I was still expecting an argument, but they seemed even happier than usual. Here's the thing. I did not think that the whole record business thing would get back to them, but it did. So for the last month, they knew what was going on, and they were happy that I had finally started to earn money. And when they saw how big the party was, they realized that my business was going pretty well. And that was what they were trying to achieve for all these years. They wanted me to be motivated like they were when they were young and determined to get out of poverty. In addition, there was a really important thing that came to my mind that night. Selling vinyl records like I did had pretty limited potential, to be honest. But I really liked the whole process of putting on a party. And of course, I love seeing people have fun, getting to know each other, dancing, talking, having a great time at an event I organized. So I've been thinking about doing this, not just for myself, but for other people too, as a job. I haven't received any orders yet. I haven't even told anybody other than my parents. This is way more serious than selling records, so I gotta prepare way better. I'm still not sure about how I should feel about this, but what I do know is that since all of this happened, my parents are not that strict anymore. They're okay with me being at their parties, and they give me much more freedom. I guess they just got what they wanted with me. I'm not saying that they were right by doing it their way, but now I know that if you don't like something in your life, you have to act. Do something and change it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you ever thought of starting a business at school, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd really like to see what kind of ideas other people have. It took me a while to come up with my own.
En dan heb je nu die andere die op mij schiet, man.
Hi, my name is Andy, and I'm 15 years old. Let me ask you a question. Do you love your siblings? For as long as I can remember, my older sister mocked me constantly and put me down. Because of her, I was afraid to live, and I mean that literally. One evening, when I was 10, and Judy, my sister, was 14, our parents asked her to babysit me. Although my sister hated me, recently with our parents, she'd been pretending to be a loving sister so that they would buy a car for her 16th birthday. When we were alone, she was always angry and made fun of me constantly. She would say that I was a wimp and a freak and that I was adopted. But that evening, everything went too far. As soon as my parents went away, Greg, Judy's boyfriend, came. She was 17 and she was as nasty as my sister. Greg always called me a dweeb, making fun of my height and lack of muscles. When he and Judy got bored, they would force me to box.
mensen, ik ben hier weer. Oké, even lukken voor een part hier.
Cunning lady has always been pretty devious. She said that the best present for her would be if I were to be as good as my brother. But since I happen to be the black sheep, the only thing I could do to make her happy was to give her a beautiful ruby necklace. Just like the one she knew our neighbour, Mrs. Delphi, had. I knew that something like that was really expensive, and I couldn't afford it. But when I told Granny this, trying to persuade her to pick another birthday present, she said something to me that I'll never be able to forget. If you can't buy it, go and steal it. Of course, I thought she was kidding, and I tried to add to her joke by asking if she knew where I could get a gun to rob the jewelry store. She said she always knew that I wasn't that smart, but she didn't know I was that stupid. Go and get Mrs. Delphi's necklace.
Hallo. Manon, kan ik meedoen? Kan ik meedoen? Oké. Oké. Oké, dag. Oké, deze is een flop en... Nee. Zeker niet. Nee.
This is my story of growing up rich. See it all. When I was a little kid, life was easy. We had 2 needs and they bought me whatever toy I wanted. So I never had to wait for my birthday or Christmas. I also went to an expensive school. I never did any homework because my dad hired a teacher who did all the work for me. Yeah, okay. I was spoiled. But I was an only child and my parents had the money. So why wouldn't they spend it on me, right? Well, today, I wish my parents had been stricter. Maybe then I would have been prepared for what happened next. You see, my dad had made lots of money from his own company. He had built it up from nothing and became a millionaire. But then something went wrong and the government shut his whole company down. We lost everything and had to move out of our beautiful home and into a small apartment. Luckily, we weren't homeless, but still, life became very hard overnight. While my parents were struggling to find jobs, I was struggling with the most basic things like getting myself ready for school. No one was helping me. And when my mom told me to take the school bus, I freaked out and screamed at her that she should drive me to school. But my mom was so stressed that she yelled at me, "Shut up and stop annoying me." I was shocked and even more angry because no one had ever talked to me like that before. After a few weeks, I switched to a private school and public school. Things were very different. The food tasted horrible, and most of the teachers couldn't remember my name. I also got some pretty bad grades, and instead of helping me, my parents just called me lazy. That's when I realized that I had to learn to depend on myself. Even though those were the toughest years of my life, I'm grateful for the experience now. And luckily, things got easier after my dad had a promotion at work. My mom stopped cleaning houses, and I got a new tutor. Her name was Isabel, and she always made sure I did my homework. And when I started doing my own homework, I discovered that I loved math and that I'm really good at it. You can't imagine how excited I was to show my dad my A- math exam. He said that he had never been more proud of me under the refrigerator. Recently, I met up with some of my old friends from before, and I realized how spoiled they were. One of them complained how her father wanted to buy a new designer bag, even though she already had so many of them. To me,
Die was kaal, man.
ridiculous to complain about that. So
Dat is echt raar uit.
stupid. But maybe I would have been just like her if my parents hadn't lost it all. Now I'm at college studying engineering while also working at a clothing store 5 days a week to help pay my tuition. I'm always tired, but I don't want to complain because I know that many people have it much harder. It sounds strange, but I'm kind of glad my parents went broke. It forced me to work hard, overcome challenges, and appreciate what I have. I'm a useful person now, and not just some entitled leech.
Hi there, my name's Jim. I've been happily married to my wife Tracy for about 6 years, when one day we got the best news of our life. No, she wasn't pregnant. She had won $8 million in the lotto. Now, if that's not a dream come true, then I don't know what is. Straight away, we started planning how to spend the cash once we got it. We would finally move out of the shoebox apartment and buy a mansion, and I could get a Porsche or a Ferrari. Okay, before I get carried away, let me throw a spanner in the works. That day ended up being the worst day of my life. You wouldn't believe what happened next. After jumping around our lounge and crying with happiness, Tracy decided she better go claim the money before it was too late. I wanted to go with her and thought about calling my boss to say I would never come back. Until the lotto money came in, we needed every penny we could get. That's why my wife and I arranged to meet at a fancy restaurant down the road from my office at lunchtime to celebrate. That whole morning, I was on such a high. Once I handed this project in, I'd never have to work another day in my life, I thought to myself. When lunchtime finally came, and I pretty much skipped to the restaurant my wife had planned to meet, I felt like the happiest guy in the world and ordered a $400 bottle of champagne while waiting for Tracy to arrive so we could pop the cork together. Well, I waited, and I waited, and after 30 minutes of her still not showing, I gave her a call. That's strange. She didn't even pick up. She was probably stuck in traffic. I was just about to leave when my phone lit up. It was a message from Tracy. Jim, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. Things just aren't the same. And it's clear we want different things. All the best to you, Tracy. P.S. I already moved all my stuff out of the apartment, so you don't need to worry about seeing me again. Sneaky little rat. I couldn't believe it. She had won the lotto and now she was dumping me? What? So she didn't have to share the cash with me? Was she that selfish? I was so angry I almost smashed the champagne bottle, but instead I decided I'd sit there and enjoy every last drop of it. The more I drank, the more tipsy I became, and that's when I came up with a plan. Tracy could think again if she thought she was going to get away with this. Revenge was sweet, and I had the perfect recipe. I called up every single local newspaper I could think of and told them what happened. They immediately wanted to do an interview, and I also forwarded them the text that Tracy had sent me. The next morning, I popped out to the shop and grinned. The shelves were packed with newspapers, and they all had the same headline: Selfish wife wins lotto and leaves husband.
Everything I told them was there. Every last detail. Tracy had been named and shamed, and now everyone knew what kind of despicable person she was. But that's not all. I decided to up my game a bit and sue her for trying to take all the money, instead of sharing it with me. The best part was the judge decided she didn't just have to give me half of her $8 million lotto win, but she also had to pay for my lawyers, which cost her another, which means that I'm officially richer than her now. Can you believe it? Talk about jackpot. I guess I can't complain. I might have lost my wife, but at least I got $4 million out of it. And yes, I did buy a Porsche and a luxury apartment. And also a $200,000 watch. But I'm sure that its value will increase. So I see it more as an investment. Because I predict that this watch will be worth at least twice as much in 10 years as it is now. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you've ever been betrayed as badly as I have. And please, don't forget to subscribe to this channel.
Hello, I'm Ava, and some of you might assume that I'm very lucky. Like, the luckiest person alive. Why? Well, this is going to shock you, but I won nearly $200 million in the lottery. That's crazy, right? Well, you know what's crazier? The day that I won that money was the worst day of my life. Yes, you heard me right. The worst day of my life. Because the moment that I won that money, my life became unbearable. You see, I used to live in a neighborhood with my mom, my sister, and my stepdad. I can't say things were perfect, but I used to be happy. Everything changed the day I found out my stepdad had been fired from his job. And soon enough, we started getting last warnings on our bills, and even warning letters from our landlord. On the third rent due notice, we got evicted and kicked out of our own house. I wanted to cry that day, but I tried to stay strong for my family. I told them that I might have just enough money that we could survive on, and that they shouldn't worry. I then took out all the money I saved in my bank account, and realized that it could probably buy us an old trailer that we could live in. And that's exactly what happened. My stepdad thanked me, went off to look for a suitable trailer that we could all fit in, and in a few hours, we were living in a trailer park near an old dump. And just like that, the tuition money that I saved for months for college all disappeared overnight, forcing me to start from square one. It felt horrible, and it seemed like I was never going to get a chance to go to college. I felt tears starting to run down my cheeks, but I didn't want any of my family members to see that I was crying, so I wiped them away quickly. I excused myself and went out of the trailer for a walk. It felt like the more I walked, the more I thought about my problems. There was just no escape from it. As I was wandering the streets, I ran into a gas station nearby. I wanted to get something to drink from the store, and I saw a big sign that said, "A chance to win $200 million. I laughed sarcastically. Yeah, sure, I whispered to myself. Behind me stood an old lady who heard me. She said, "You never know, dear. Life is all about luck. You should get one." I didn't really believe her, but I was desperate. 2 tickets, please, I told the cashier. He handed them over, and I took one card, then gave the other to the old lady as a nice gesture. We left the store together, and she gave me her card and said that she doesn't have a TV and wouldn't be able to know if she won. So, she then gave me her address and said that if she had won anything, I can come over to her house and let her know. As I walked back home, my thoughts went back and forth in my head about what would happen if I actually won any type of money. It was a little fantasy, something to think about, just to ease my mind away from my troubles. When I made it home and opened the door, my sister, mom, and stepdad were all fighting. It looked like they had gotten themselves into another argument about money, but I was too tired to bother getting involved, and I simply went to bed. Days had passed, and I had almost forgotten about the lottery tickets, until one evening, I was reminded to check my numbers when my stepdad had the TV. It was a local news channel that talked about how the lottery money was yet to be claimed. They showed the numbers on the screen, and I pulled out my ticket. I wasn't very surprised that the numbers didn't match, and I crumbled it up, ready to move on, until I remembered the old lady's ticket, and pulled that out as well. When I went over the numbers, then went over them again, I felt like the room started to spin. The numbers matched perfectly. I quickly reached back into my pocket and fished out the paper that the lady wrote her address on. I wanted to rush over and tell her the news, but when I held the paper in my hand, I froze. $200 million. The thought kept running through my head. I looked around the trailer and thought even more about everything we could do with that money. I bought the ticket, and my family was really struggling. I knew that we could use the money more than she did. I decided not to tell her. I mean, she was an old lady. What would she do with it anyway? Instead, I leaped up from the chair and called my family over. When I told them the news, none of them believed me, but I just smiled. We looked back toward the TV and checked the numbers again. When it was confirmed, we all jumped and shouted with joy. It was an unbelievable feeling. Everyone started talking about what they wanted to do, but one thing we could all agree on was getting out of that trailer. We went and cashed in the ticket. There was a big news conference filled with cameras, and my mom was made up to look her best. Our first purchase was a big house in the best part of town. I shared the money with my mom, sister, and stepdad, and they were quick to splurge. My mom bought clothes from only the most expensive stores and boutiques, while my sister bought herself the car of her dreams. And even my stepdad started spending money on unnecessary things. Don't get me wrong, I didn't mind the initial thrill, but after a while, things started to get out of hand. It seemed like the more money that was spent, the more things everyone wanted. Our once overly big house was being filled with stuff that was paid for, used once, and never touched again. I was happy that everyone was enjoying themselves after struggling so much, but we all started to drift apart. It was like we were at a crossroads, each headed in our own direction, and while everyone else seemed happy to walk off toward their own idea of luxury, I felt miserable. Nothing I seemed to buy made me feel better, and the more I tried to get our family to spend time together, the more they moved apart. Whenever we were in the same room with each other, an argument would break out. In the end, I barely saw any of them anymore. I just wanted to feel the connection that we once had. That's when I got the biggest shock of my life. A couple of months passed, and my biological father showed up to the house. It had been so long that I barely recognized him. He seemed happy to see me, and talked about how he missed being a family. He was really over the top, and started talking about how he wanted to be in my life again. I was so angry when I saw his face. I remembered the day he walked away from us, leaving me, my sister, and our mom to struggle alone. Because, and I quote, "I didn't sign up for this. I never even wanted kids." I told him if he didn't want us then, he's not going to be in my life now, and slammed the door on his stunned face. For the rest of the day, I felt an emptiness fill me. It wasn't just from seeing my biological father, but from the money and what it turned everybody into. A once close family wasn't even talking to each other anymore. My sister and I were best friends, but now I only see her when she comes by to pick up her stuff or ask for more money. My stepdad isn't the same hard worker that he used to be either. Now he spends his time wasting away on the couch, isolating himself from everything but the television. And even though my mother was never the kindest or the most caring person, now she's even worse. She doesn't even try to hide the fact that she's only interested in the family for as long as it can benefit her. She spent more money than everyone else, and she's become more spoiled. Sadly, I am not any better. I always thought that I wanted to be better than my mom. But when money came, I realized that I was similar. I
Man had 24 HP.
I'm buying things I didn't need, and I started caring about what people think about me. The worst part of all was that I even gave up on my education. When I really thought about it, it made me sick. Finally, it hit me. The money wasn't even mine in the first place. After all this time, I remembered the old lady and how the ticket was hers, how she was the reason that I bought the ticket after all. Feeling that my mind was made up, I decided to find her. I remembered her address and got dressed to go see her. When I made it to her house, it was small and looked a little worn out, but it was also peaceful. I knocked on the door, and there she was. I explained to her what happened with the tickets that I bought and was ready to apologize, but to my surprise, she told me that she didn't remember. She saw the confusion on my face and politely invited me inside. And there, I saw her family. She introduced me to her children. She had 2 sons and a daughter, and they introduced me to their kids. They all welcomed me with a smile, a complete stranger, and they didn't look put off. I explained to them how I met their mom, and they seemed to all realize what happened. She had Alzheimer's, and it was starting to reach the late stages. Her kids came home to help their mom and brought their families so that she could feel comfortable since their father had passed a long time ago. I came to thank her and share the money with her, but without me even offering them any money, they treated me kindly and invited me to dinner. I was hesitant, but I missed having family dinners, so I decided to stay. It was one of the best nights I've had in a very long time. We laughed, shared stories, and played games together. The family didn't have much, but they were happy. It reminded me of what I used to have. So, after the sun started to go down, and I started to leave, I turned and told her and her kids my plan to give them a majority share of the money. I wrote each one of them a check and handed them out. They were shocked, then overjoyed. They all laughed and smiled. I thanked the lady one more time and walked away. On my way home, I called up my family and told them to meet me. By the time I arrived, they were there. I walked in and saw them arguing again. At that point, I didn't want to waste any more time. I calmed them down and jumped straight into what I did. Their reaction went from shocked to screaming to anger, but I didn't back down. I explained that the money was ruining us, how it was like we weren't even a family anymore. There was just enough for each of us to live comfortably, and I understood if they were angry with me. After that, I walked away. It took a couple of days, but eventually, my family seemed to realize the same thing I did. My sister was the first to come around, then my stepdad. My mom, on the other hand, rarely ever spoke to me again. Her and my stepdad got divorced, and she moved into her own place. Though I was disappointed, I kind of figured she would feel that way. After a while, it seemed like I was getting my family back. Everyone had grown accustomed to going their own way. But now, we spent more time as a family. I started college like I always wanted, and spent my time studying. I still look back with regret about the day that I won the lottery, and how it turned my family against each other. But now, I look at the good it was able to do afterward. How I was able to help a family that wasn't my own. How I was able to go back to school, and how I was able to see what really matters. Family, not money. Did you like my story? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, and subscribe to the channel.
Hallo?
Hallo Luca.
Most people eat toast or
Wacht, ik ga
cereal for
risky.
breakfast, but I'm not most people. I eat scorpions for breakfast. You see, my brother had an accident.
Alright.
Helping my dad fix the
Ja, ik ben nu wel even in een potje.
He hit his head really badly, and the doctor
Cheers, everyone.
Ik en Jens worden telkens tweede of eerste of derde.
Hoe heb ik jou eigenlijk als vriend?
Nee, het was door andere vrienden.
Kijk, nu hebben we weer even
Suddenly, I felt something sharp on my ankle, and when I looked down, my brother was biting me. He bit so hard he actually...
Memories bring back you.
I eventually had to clean the light back so that he stopped. It was like he'd become a wild animal. I told my parents about it as soon as they got home, and they shouted at me. They told me I was supposed to look after him and that it's not his fault, that it'll take time for him to go back to normal. Well, time passed and things just got worse. I eventually installed the lock on my bedroom door because I'd woken up so many times to find him wandering into my room. It freaked me out so much. It was so bad that my friends stopped coming over to hang out. They said my brother was terrifying. Only they knew. I'd lie in bed at night listening to him.
Al mijn wapens zijn letterlijk goudkast.
If I hadn't been so afraid, I'd have felt sorry for him.
Klas, al mijn wapens zijn letterlijk goud.
The scar from the bite, and I realized I had to do something to protect myself.
Luca,
I suggested they
weet je zo eigenlijk?
Ja.
And my dad said that if I didn't shut up, he'd
Al mijn wapens zijn goud.
fine then. I'd only look out for myself then. If he hurt them too, then it was their fault.
Klas, hier liggen 2 bigpots. Ik heb 5 bigpots al gevonden.
His eyes were rolling around and he looked like he wanted to kill
We
me.
moeten even een AR hebben.
I tried to distract myself by watching TV, and that's when a nature documentary caught
Heb jij
my
Scar?
attention. It was about
Nee,
scorpions,
ik heb
specifically
gewoon
box
geen AR.
scorpions, the most
heb
poisonous
een
in the whole
pistool.
of the U.S. Their stink can
Heb
lead
je ook
to
geen
vomiting
shotgun?
for up to 72
Jawel.
hours. I don't know why, but after watching the show, I couldn't
Zo
stop
gewoon
thinking,
even lekker
what would
auto's
it
aan
be
de
like to be
kant
that poisonous? In that moment, I almost envied those scorpions.
Scar,
What could hurt them? I
let's
started
go.
researching, and the next day I went out to try
Heb je
and
bij
find
dat
them.
grote
I'd never
portaal
seen one in
genoemd?
real life before, but I knew
Nee.
exactly where I could find them.
Hier is
The
nog
show
een Scar
said
als je
they liked
wilt.
citrus trees, and right
Ja.
down
Oh, heb je
the
daar
road
niet zo
there was
goed
a
mee
citrus
mee?
farm. I went there after school and asked the man who owned the
Wat,
farm
dat is
if I could
echt?
take a walk home. He seemed suspicious and asked me if I was planning on stealing his fruit.
We
I
kunnen
said,
straks
no,
ook
I
zonder
just want to
wars
find
doen.
some scorpions,
Nee, maar
actually.
Kous, dat
He
lijkt
looked
me super
shocked.
erg,
Then
hè?
he asked me to follow him. He led me to the back of
Oh.
a big shed and pointed towards the
Do, do,
tank.
do,
Inside
do,
were
do,
dozens of scorpions.
Luca, ben je
couldn't
goed?
believe it. I ran
Beetje
over and stuck my nose.
Valt wel. Ik weet niet, maar ik ben 4 weken. Ik had 4 weken een break.
You can have them for free. Saves me feeling them later.
Ik ben net terug van een break van 4 weken.
Day was my
Wat is
lucky
dat?
day. He put
Dat
Oh,
ik
je
4
bent
weken niet heb
Belgisch.
gespeeld.
to be really careful
Ja.
because if they stung me, I could die.
Wat
I
is
walked
er?
home with the box and found an old fish tank.
En pauze.
Put them all in there. But as I was pouring them in, one of them got away. Without even thinking, I jumped on
Weer
it.
een rocket
Ooh, I
launcher
heard the
die ik
crunch
niet.
sound and
Ik
I
heb al
shivered.
5
And
rocket
then I had
launchers
another
gevonden.
thought. I'd read that
Ja,
in
ik ook.
the
En heel veel
My parents weren't
snipers.
home yet, and my brother was at our grandma's.
Maar
So
dat
I
is
went
waar.
downstairs and poured some oil into a pan.
Vinden jullie het feit dat je kan verstoppen in een toilet grappig?
About to eat a scorpion.
Dat
Dat
je?
je wat?
Je kan verstoppen in een toilet.
Oh ja, dat vind ik wel vet.
Dat deden wij met jachtseizoen.
But I felt fine. I decided to upload the video to
Maar
my
die het
Instagram.
lekker was
I
niet
only
voor
had
me.
like
Kous,
50
jij zei
followers,
heel
but
de
still.
tijd. Ja, we
And
zitten
then
lekker,
later
je
that
zit
night,
lekker
I
te
decided to try
poepen.
something. I grabbed into my brother's phone. He was already fast
En
asleep.
ze
His
zitten
toes were
op
sticking
een
out of the
toilet
end of
of
the
zo,
bed.
zei
I
je
bit
heel
down on
tijd.
his big toe and waited. It was just a little bite. I wanted to see if I was poisonous now. But
Mens.
instead, something worse happened. He kicked me in the face. My nose started bleeding. He didn't even know he'd done it. He was still asleep.
Dat is een
much for
mens.
being poisonous.
Ah.
I just need to eat more and try
Hij staat
again.
er nog steeds. Snipe
I
hem.
woke up and I was
Ik
heb geen
actually
sniping.
craving
Ja,
scorpions.
ik ben niet bij jou, omdat ik mijn AR...
They were a good protein source.
Ja,
This time I chose a smaller one.
Oh ja,
I was
bus.
scared my mom would walk in, so I did it
Kijk,
as
ik
quickly
even naar
as
mijn
possible.
waypoint. Daar
But
is
then
een
I heard
mens.
someone on the stairs. It was my brother.
Ik ook
Oh,
ben
no. I
even naar
quickly
beneden
turned
op.
the gas
Een
off,
Scar,
threw the
kak.
scorpion in my mouth. It was still moving, and I was about to spit it out, but it was too late.
Ook een
Crawling
rocket
down my
launcher.
throat. I felt like I was gonna
Ja, maar gast, ik heb zo... Mijn wifi is echt poep, man. What the fuck?
Suddenly, I grabbed him and told him to
Kijk,
never do
daar.
that again. I'd never done that before, and it shocked me. I I didn't know I was
Maar daar op mijn
screaming to him
witpoort is een man.
Then I
Kijk,
bit him again.
van hoi.
This time he was awake and he felt it. His face
Dat is mijn
started to go
grap.
red and I
Ik
was
vond hem wel
sure I
goed.
poisoned him. But instead, he started screaming and ran to wake up my
Hey,
brother.
help man, ik lees
He'd
er.
run away and not bid me back. Maybe it was working after all.
Oeh.
But oh my gosh, I had to
gaan
cut
niet
the
deze
stinger off.
bullshit
I
doen.
hid the scorpion that was
Ja,
in
is
my
goed.
bra and that still
Nee,
had a
of een
stinger
boost
on it.
verder.
Now I was
Nee, kom, kom.
Suddenly, I
Hier
had
zo, deze.
feeling wash over me. It wasn't sickness though. It was power. Like I was the one in
Heb jij
control
Big
now,
Bot?
not my brother.
Nee, heb je
This was how I
medkit?
could protect myself.
Nee.
So that's why I started
Senna,
killing scorpions.
Senna kan meedoen.
Every
Ja.
morning. It was
Nou
too
nee,
risky
Senna
to
doet
go to the
irritant
kitchen,
tegen
so
me.
I decided
Wat
to
doet
just
hij
Ik
dan?
mocht vanochtend niet
It
meedoen.
had no bad side effects.
Ze
Although
checken
I
alle
always cut the
bushes.
stinger off, I'm not that stupid. I ate a particularly big scorpion one morning, and then at school that day, I heard two
No!
girls whispering about my brother when I walked by.
No.
Even though my brother annoyed me, it wasn't his fault. So I decided to get them back for this. The next day, I watched as they opened their lockers at exactly the same time. I'll never forget their screams.
Ik zit heel
They
erg in een
echoed
mankje.
through the corridor, and one of the scorpions actually looked like it was chasing them. I laughed so hard, although it meant I'd wasted two of them. Oh well, plenty more where they came
Ja,
from.
boven.
It was crazy that I felt fine eating them. I actually enjoyed them. Some
Jongen, hij mijn rug!
their venom, so I was
Maar
relieved I
mag
wasn't
Senna
one
niet
of them.
meedoen?
My favorite thing was to dip them in pee. All stuck together, and that way they wouldn't pinch my tongue. That night, when I got home, I found my brother in my room. I'd been so excited about taking the scorpions to school, I forgot to put the lock back on my door. I caught him just as I was
Memories bring back, memories bring back you.
and then I felt it. It was worse than any pain I've ever felt in my life. It started with
Zijn jullie klaar?
and then shot me.
Ja.
Invite me.
Maybe I was allergic after all. I was going to die.
You're the one that love. Memories bring back all the memories.
Ben je verliefd, Jan?
I woke up in the hospital alone. My parents weren't even there.
Ja.
Dus je hebt ze nu alweer vol.
Also lying in the
Ja.
hospital bed. And
Wat?
my eyes
Dat
were
is
closed. My
hel.
parents suddenly came in and saw me bleeding.
Ik heb een winnaar bij.
Then they started shouting. They asked why I had
Nou,
scorpions.
dat is gewoon het leuke van een braadloos
Brother had
bed.
been stung by one too, and he was still unconscious.
Oké,
Hier staan we maar een party.
55,
Ended up poisoning
64,
and my brother. If he didn't
124,
survive, I'd never live with him. I was
137,
feeling okay, so I decided to take the walk and get some fresh air. I saw some familiar faces walking towards me.
315, 315 winst bij elkaar.
They asked
Weet je dat veel? 350 winst bij elkaar.
one girl's dad started shouting at them, saying that I was still responsible parents on the planet, and that I could have killed their daughter. I didn't understand how they'd known it was me who'd done it, and then I remembered the video I'd uploaded, and I watched it.
Kan
My
je geen
parents just sat
invite
there
sturen?
speechless, ripping onto my
Hoe heet
brother's
die?
t-shirt. Then one of the girls said, "See, her brother is a total."
Let's play Raid
Kan je geen
Shadow
een invite sturen, Luca?
Wat? Invite me. Ik doe nog veel.
Invite sturen naar, hoe heet
And
het?
then he
Doei
was
de hele
too,
tijd.
and that's why he's here. My mom stood up and thought she was going to grab the girl and shit, but then she turned to me and said, "You ate a what?" Then the girls showed my mom the video, and my mom looked horrified. She started crying and wouldn't even look at us. After my parents apologized on my behalf and the girls and their parents left, they could hear my mom whispering to my dad, "She's even more crazy than our son. Something just happened. Call the doctor." I had time to grab my stuff and run out of there before a whole group of doctors cornered me and tied me to the bed. Then they wheeled me home with me from the hospital.
Zijn uit de huishouden wc. Ja, dat moet wel.
It was my brother who was insane, and I'd done this to protect myself, but now they thought it was me who was a lunatic.
Zullen we Downhill River?
Everyone was so freaked out by how I looked as I'd been.
Maar vond jij het gaaf of zo vuil?
My brother
Ik vond
eventually woke up and he
niet
was
per se
okay,
gaaf of zo, maar
My
Ik vond het heel fijn spelen.
Ja, maar ik vond het wel leuk om op het hoofdveld en in de kleedkamer van het eerste te zitten op zich. Dat is wel leuk. Hé, nu kan ik mijn boutjes wel pakken hier zo.
Ik vind niet.
Ik ga boxfight.
Boxfight?
Ah nee, ik kan niet. Ja, jullie twee tegen mij.
Oh, is goed.
Leuk dat je hebt gekeken naar deze stream. Like en abonneer. Dan zie